بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. And welcome to all of you to today's session, inshallah, where we will be looking at two letters today, inshallah. We'll be looking at the letter Hamza and the letter Ha. Now, both of these letters come from the bottom of the throat. They're the only letters that actually come from the bottom of the throat. So how do we kind of figure out where the bottom of the throat is? So we've discussed letters like Ha and Ain. We know they come from the middle of the throat. And, we kind of squeezed and we located the throat in those videos. We know the top of the throat for the Ha and the Ghain. So if we know how to say Ha and the Ghain, we know how to say Ha, Ain. We know we have to go even lower for the Hamza and the Ha. It is the region where your vocal cords are. Okay. How do you kind of still figure that out? Well, for those of us that are English speakers, when you, for example, say, when somebody cracks a joke, but you don't really find it funny, and then you go ha ha ha, in like a sarcastic way, or when you think of something, all of a sudden you go aha, right? Aha. See, it's these letters come from the same places as when we pronounce those kind of things, right? Ha ha, aha, right? But this is Hamza and Ha come from that place. That is the bottom of the throat. There is a difference between the two now. So with Hamza is a letter that we call it a shidda letter. It's a letter that has a sharpness to it. When we pronounce it with a fatha, we say ah, ah. So where is the sharpness? The sharpness in this case is right at the beginning when you first start saying the letter. It's like your voice starts very quickly, kind of like all of a sudden. You'll say ah, instead of making it sort of going you see that kind of abruptness near the beginning. You need that for the Hamza. Okay, with a dhamma, you're doing the same thing. Now notice that when I say these, pay attention to what's happening in your throat. The throat should really be relaxed. You're not really squeezing anything. You know how, for example, when we said ain, we squeezed the throat. For these letters, you are not squeezing at all. Okay, it's just concentrating on your voice and the way that you're starting and stopping the voice. Okay, especially with the case of Hamza, it's all about the voice. So how do we do it? We start the voice all of a sudden. U, u, e, with a kasra, e, again, that sharpness at the beginning. U, e, with a sukoon when we are joining. Then this time, when we get to the Hamza, we'll have a sharpness at the beginning when we say the first Hamza. When we say the second Hamza with a sukoon, and whenever we see a Hamza with a sukoon, it's a sudden stop. It's an abrupt stop to the sound of your voice. So you'll say, you'll stop the sound all of a sudden. Don't be careful not to bounce it. So you don't say okay. There are certain letters that do stop the sound of the voice and they stop the breath, but they also have qalqala. This is the only letter where you stop the sound, you don't hear the breath, and you don't have the qalqala. So you shouldn't have the bounce. You don't say you'll just say You also have to be careful not to have the breath running. So you don't say and then have a bit of breath afterwards, because I've seen that quite common as well. So you stop everything all of a sudden. It's the shutting off and the closing off of your voice. And how you really fundamentally what you're doing is you're closing your vocal cords and shutting off the sound flow. Okay, and that's what you're doing when you pronounce the Hamza. An example from the Mus'haf is with a kasra is when you say as-samai. See, I don't say as-sa. You don't keep it flowing and say as-samai. If you say as-samai, Hamza is too soft, right? So what you're trying to do here is say as-sama, keep it going, do your mud, prolong the mud. And when you want to say the Hamza, stop your voice and start again. As-samai. I'll do it again. As-samai. So you stop your voice and then you get that sharpness of your Hamza again. Another example here where we have the Hamza Sakina in the middle of this word is when you say al-ma'wa, al-ma'wa. You notice how I say ma, you cut the sound off very very sharply. Al-ma'wa. So you stop the sound and then you have to continue with the wow and then you continue with the flow. Al-ma'wa. It's almost like a break that comes in your voice. Al-ma'wa. Okay. When we're moving on to the ha, the letter ha is now from the same place as same place for ha 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 ha. Okay, but this time what's happening is there's no sharpness to this. You don't have any kind of jerk or sudden stopping of the voice. And this is a letter of hum, so you do have the breath for this one. So when we pronounce the letter, we say ha, hu, he, ha, hu, he, ha, hu, he. It's a light letter, so we're not saying ha. Notice that there's no extra exaggeration or pushing of the breath. We don't say ha, ha like this. We don't mix it and try to squeeze in the throat. There's no squeezing again. If you try to squeeze, you're going to end up mixing it with the ha and pronouncing it like you'll have that kind of sound in it, which you don't want. No squeezing in the throat, very much relaxed. Let the breath come. Ha, 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 hu, he. Ha, hu, he. And then with the sukun, this is where the quality of the letter really shines. With the sukun, it is a rakhawa letter, so we're going to keep it running this time. And we keep it running by keeping the breath going. Ah, ha, hu, he, Notice you don't go too deep so that you end up somewhere in the chest. You don't go, You see, that's too deep. You want to stay in the region of the Hamza where you said, ha, ha, And notice how I kept it running. I didn't keep the Hamza running when I said the top one. When I said, I stopped, and it's a shidda letter, which means you stop all of a sudden and you say, the sound stops. But with the ha, you do keep it running. Okay. With the example here, we have the example of ha and ha at the beginning with a fatha. So how we say this? Ha, ha, ha. Again, no squeezing, no extra exaggeration or forcing of the breath. Ha antum. We also have the hamza here with a fatha. So after saying ha, we stop the voice, we start again to get the right sound for the hamza. Ha antum, ha antum. Notice it's not han, it's ha an, okay? And the final example, we have quite a few here. We have I'll just mark them on for you. We have the Hamza here with the sukun. So this is where you suddenly going to stop the sound of your voice. We have another Hamza here. So after saying the ta, we will move to the ta, to the Hamza, sorry. We will stop the sound of the voice and restart. Then we have the letter ha with a sukun, which we will keep running. Okay. How do we say this? Wal mu. So you stop the sound. Wal mu. And then you carry on. Tafikata. Wal mu. Tafikata. So after ta, stop the sound. Start again for the hamza. Wal mu. Tafikata. Ta. Not ta. You want to say ta. Don't keep it soft and say ta. Okay. Ta. And then we join it with the ha and we keep it flowing. Ahwa. والمؤتفكة أهوى والمؤتفكة أهوى. Jazakumullahu khairan. I hope to see you again for our final day tomorrow, where we will be having, inshallah, 2 sessions back to back. One will be on looking at the mutaharrik waw and the ya, and the second session will be looking at the mud letters alif, waw, and ya. I hope to see you tomorrow. Jazakumullahu khairan. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.